Hello lovelies, welcome back. My name is Tehja and today we got another extra special video. Today we will be remaking Doja Cat's Vevo performance look that she did for Say So when she's like in the pink and the fur. So like, yeah, that. So if you would like to know how to get this Doja Cat look from her Vevo performance of Say So, please keep on watching. Alright, so we are going to be using a overbust corset and a pair of underwear. You can use a 100% cotton pair of underwear that has like no stretch in it and just sew it directly onto the corset. But what I'm going to do is draft the pattern out of panties that I already have and then re-sew them with no stretch fabric. And so if you're willing to do that, then you can continue to watch this video. If you want to skip ahead to where we put on the fur and all that good stuff, then you can. So now I'm showing you how I kind of figured out the shape of the panties and how I wanted them to be. And so I'm just tracing out the like kind of cut that I want the panties to have, also marking where the eyelets are in the back of the corset. And now you see me cutting the panties so it's into the shape that I need it to be. Now I am showing you how like my panties are cut out as, and I'm going to use this as the reference for making a sewing pattern. If you use cotton underwear, you can finish the raw edges of your underwear, just folding it a 1/4 inch. But anyway, now I am making a sewing pattern out of it. Now I'm going to the back of the panties, and I'm showing you that I actually marked where the eyelets are, so where the back of the corset is, and I just marked the points of where it is, and now I'm transferring that to my pattern. And so I marked those 2 points, and so now I'm making a little V with those 2 points, and just this helps to help you get into the actual corset, because if you just sew the panties straight on, like, you will not be able to get into the corset because you have hips and you got, you know, butt and all that stuff, and so you need space to actually fit into it. So now these are what the pattern pieces look like, and now I'm going to cut the fabric out of the pattern pieces and then sew those pieces together. So these are what the fabric pieces look like. I pinned them together and then I'm going to sew them. So I've sewed the pattern pieces, or the pieces, together, and now I'm going to finish the raw edges of everything. I folded everything a 1/4 inch, and then I'm going to go and sew that. So now I have sewn everything, and now it is time to attach the panties to the corset. So I have the corset. This is what, you know, it's looking like. I had to do some modifications to make it fit, but what we're going to do is glue the front pieces together, because we don't need that piece to open up because we'll be lacing the corset from the back only. So what I'm going to do is take my hot glue gun and place a ton of glue on that front piece, and then I'm going to hook the hooks together and just press everything together and just make sure it just glues. So I'm coming back because I had some problems and issues of problems. And I noticed, because I cut the seam allowance, because I made it out of satin, the satin was splitting. So we needed 2 problems to be solved, along with being able to fit and get into the corset. So I decided to add a hook and eye closure to where it's splitting to help with, you know, like getting it on and off. So I'm taking a bra that I don't use, and I'm going to cut the hook and eyes off of that and attach it and sew it to the panties for where it's splitting. And then I'm going to cut the panties, and then I'm going to pin the hook and eyes to the panties. Make sure the hook part goes onto the front part of the panties, and then the actual eyes part goes to the back of the panties. And please make sure that it actually hooks before you sew it to the garment. So it should look a little something like that once you're done sewing. And so now I'm going to attach the panties to the corset and then sew that all together. I'm taking my underwear and I'm going to pin it and attach it to the front of the corset, but we are just going to do right side to right side and pin it to the corset. I also basted it as well. And so it should look like that once you're done sewing it. And then now I'm flipping the corset to the back, and we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to pin the panties to the back, right side to right side touching, and I'm going to pin it, baste it, and then sew it. I'm quickly showing how I just baste the panties together, just for people who don't know what basting is. It's just a quick sewing stitch that's temporary. So this is what the corset looks like when we're done actually making the foundation of it. So now we're moving on to actually putting the fur onto the corset. So now what we are going to do is, we're going to actually first add some eyelets to the panties just to make sure that we can like lace it up all the way. I put 2 dots on the panties for where I want the grommets to go. And then now I'm going to match that for the other side as well. And so now I'm marking the dots on the other side, and then I will quickly add grommets to all those markings. I'm not going to go into detail on how to do that because that's like a video in of itself. But anyway, I'm grabbing my grommets and doing that real quick, and then we will add the fur. Okay, so I've added the grommets to the corset, and this is what it's looking like. Now we'll be moving on to adding the fur to the corset. So this is the fur that we will be using. It is this beautiful like bubblegum pink fur that I actually had left over. Doja had actually a smaller length hair fur on her, but like this is the fur that I had, and it's like, it doesn't match perfectly, but it gives the aesthetic, it gives the vibe. So what we're going to do is grab like, you know, like your fur, pieces of fur, and kind of just like try to line it up and find places that like the fur actually fits the corset. And you see here I'm actually brushing the fur just to make sure that all the fur hairs go in the right direction. So once I and find a fur piece that fits onto the corset, you know, you kind of just fit it like puzzle pieces. I'm going to take my hot glue gun and then glue the edges of the corset, and then I'm going to lay the fur on top. Boom, like that. Super duper easy. And then once we do that to the top, we'll do that to the sides and also the bottom as well. And just make sure you take your time and be very gentle, and make sure that the hairs are out of the way of the glue, because once the glue gets on them hairs, it's a serious problem. Make sure that you also like glue all the way to the panties, and just make sure that everything is pretty seamless. So now I'm going to wait for the glue to dry for 5 minutes just to make sure that's really set in place, because you just don't want the glue to move once you're pulling and tugging on it. So now what I'm going to do is take an X-Acto knife and then cut around the edge of the corset to have the fur match the shape of the corset, pretty much cutting like the excess off. And I'm using an X-Acto knife because it cuts the actual netting or like the backing of the fur that holds all the fur together without cutting the actual hair. Because if you take regular scissors and cut fur, it's going to cut the hair. It's going to look really choppy. But an X-Acto knife cuts enough that it doesn't cut the hair. And so we're going to do that for all around the corset, the top, the bottom, whatever. Just whatever excess fur that we have, we're going to cut it off. And then you pretty much repeat the same steps until the whole entire corset is covered. So now I'm just taking another piece of fur and kind of like I said, matching it like puzzle pieces, you know, just seeing what it fits, like where it fits onto the corset, and brushing the hair just to make sure the hair goes into the same direction, because that's super important. You don't want hair going in different directions, because then it's just going to look a little bit more, you know, like you can just tell it's like different textures, like you just tell. So if you don't mind that, then that's fine. But for me, I'm a Virgo, so I do. And so I just make sure all the hairs go in the same direction. And what I love about this fur specifically is that like you don't really see any lines or seams. Like you can't tell that there's 3 pieces of fur on that corset right now. And that's what I love about this fur in particular. I'm gonna leave y'all to it. I'm going to be playing music as I continue to glue the fur down, and then we'll be back to do the accessories. So this is what the corset looks like when it's finished. It's all pink and furry and fluffy, and that's what the back looks like. And so now I'm just going to lace the corset up, and we are going to move on to the accessories. So now I am making the choker and the belt that goes along with the Doja Cat look. So I made these pattern pieces, and it's pretty much 2 rectangles. It's nothing really special. All right, anyway, so this is the corset belt pattern, and what I did is measured my waist, which is 26 right now. On a good day, it's 25-ish. I measured out my waist and subtracted a ½ an inch off of it, so it just gives me a little bit more of a squeeze and a reduction, and then I drew that line out. So this is this horizontal line. So measure down 5 inches, because when we fold this belt in half, it will be 2.5 inches. And so I did a smaller version here, measured out the length or the circumference of my neck, which ended up being 12 inches. I did not subtract anything because we don't want to cinch in our neck. Anyway, I'm going to cut this out, then cut the actual pieces out, and then we'll get to sewing. Okay, so this is what the 2 pieces look like when they're cut out, and so now I'm going to fold them hot dog style, pin them, and sew them at a 1/4 inch. This is what they look like so far. Now that it is pretty much done, we're gonna flip this inside out. Okay, so once we, I kind of automatically did it, but what I was going to say is once we flip it, but you want to adjust it so that the seam is in the middle like this. That's what we're going to do. I'm going to do it to the other one, and then I'll be back. Okay, so I sewed my, did I tell y'all? Hold on. Anyway, I finished the edges in a different way. I didn't show it, but I realized that I did not plan in the pattern for the actual place where the Velcro would go. And so like there was like no space for like overlap. So I kind of made like these tab things. I decided to use ribbon for the choker because that was just way easier. But I made these little tab things for the Velcro to go on. Now we're going to add the Velcro, which I totally forgot to put on my table, so I'll be right back. All right, so I got my Velcro. What I'm going to do is kind of measure out how long I need the Velcro to be. Maybe about here. And just cut straight across. So I'm going to flip it over this way because this is where the Velcro is actually going to be. So I flipped my choker over. And then I need it to be like this, like the Velcro to apply like that. And so I'm going to take, let's see, the fuzzy side, the fuzzy one that the Velcro sticks onto. And I'm going to put it on the edge of my little tab, like that. I'm going to take the actual grip side and then put it on the edge of the other tab. I think white Velcro would just aesthetically look better. So then, when you put it on like this. Boop. We got that done, accomplished. And then we're going to do the same thing for the longer one, for the belt. So anyway, that's pretty much done. So what we have left to do is just the rhinestones. We are going to put the rhinestones on. I got my ruler, so I'm just going to measure out a little bit. Every ½ inch on the top and the bottom, by the way. Hopefully this is straight. Alright, and then now I'm doing it on the top. Is that too far away? It kind of looks like it, but fuck it. We are going to use my E6000, my favorite glue of all time, and I'm going to put dots of it on every part, like halfway of the bottom first. You can use hot glue if you want, and then just place the rhinestones just like literally right on top. These are probably like way too close together, but I just don't care. We're just gonna rhinestone it now, and then if it's like weird, then it's weird. Oh well. So we're just gonna literally do that for the whole choker. Okay, and then we'll let this dry for a few hours, like 4 or 5 hours. Is ideally, if you can do it for 24 hours, that's great. I don't know if I told y'all, but I'm using 8mm rhinestones. And these are clear rhinestones from the Doris pack that you get, like the 1 pound pack of rhinestones. You can use those for everything. But anyway, I'm working on the belt right now, and I'll probably be done in like 10 minutes or so. All right, so I have the choker, and then I have a earring that literally looks exactly the same as what Doja Cat had. So, I'm just going to use that to kind of serve as the little pendant for the choker. So what I'm going to do is fold this choker in half to find the middle. So last but not least, we are moving on to the cat ears. So now I'm taking these cat ears that I actually got from the same place I got the do-rag from my Summer Walker transformation. And so like with that like glittery rhinestone part, you can actually peel it off. So what I'm going to do is peel those off. I'm first going to trace that little rhinestone part. So I peeled those little rhinestone things off. I'm showing you first the furs I'm going to use. I'm obviously going to use the fur that we used for the corset, but I also have this light pink fur as well. So what I'm doing now is taking a piece of tracing paper, even though you can use any paper because we're just going to trace out the cat ear. And so that's what I'm doing really, really quickly. And it's going to serve as our quote unquote pattern. I cut that out and now I'm going to retrace it and then make like a smaller version, and that will be like the inner part of the cat ear. All right, and then now I'm going to cut that little pattern out, and that's what these two should look like. You can also just eyeball it, like you don't have to go through all this, but it's just easier for my brain to understand. So what I'm taking now is the light pink fur, and I'm going to flip it to like the netting side, and I'm going to take the small cat ear pattern piece, quote unquote, and I'm going to trace that onto the back of the fur 4 times for the front and back. And after I trace 2 ears, I flip it over. So it's like, because I did the left ear. And so now if you flip it over, now you're tracing it for the right ear. Just a little tip for y'all. Okay, so now we're just going to hot glue those 4 pieces onto the cat ears, just pretty much in like that inner corner. Just pretty much what we've been doing. Hot glue has been our best friend all of this video, and it's not changing right now. So that's what it should look like once you glue all of those like mini cat ears onto the headband. So now what I'm doing is cutting strips of the pink fur. So I cut about like, it's like a 1/2 inch wide trim, and what I'm doing now is cutting down the hair so that is shorter and shorter hair trim, because like cats have shorter hair. Well, not really, but it was just looking better when I cut the fur down, because I tried to leave the fur the length that it was and it just wasn't working. So now what I'm doing is gluing the trim onto the cat ear and kind of, you know, folding the trim over the raw edges of the cat ears, and then after that you should be done. I'm doing it again for the other ear, and now you can see more so how I cut the fur off. I just kind of went in a straight line and just shaved a little off the top. And again, I'm just applying the trim on. And also what I do after, because I always make sure I have more trim than I need, is that I just cut it right off afterwards, just like that. Boom, done. And that's what the cat ears should look like. Now, if you want to wrap the actual band in like some pink fabric or even fur, then I think that's a great idea. Okay, so that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know that it was a lot of pieces had to be put together, in order to get this look, but it's a really, really cute look. It can also double as a Halloween look if you wanted to, because it's like a cute like pink cat Halloween costume if you want to do it. I think it's cute. I think I'm covered for Halloween. So yeah, and so I just think it's a really cute, iconic look. I freaking love this choker, which is so funny because I'm not sure if I'm going to show it in the video, but this is an earring. And at first, my dumbass decided to just like kind of like stick the earring like post through and then like kind of connect it in the back. Pretty much like how you do your ear, do that to this. But the earring post, the pointy part will still stick into your neck. But I was planning to do it anyway for this look, but I recommend that you actually like either get an earring and take the post off, or get like an actual pendant. So funny thing, I was getting ready for this video to do like this intro outro, and like literally all of a sudden the post came completely off. I only wore these earrings twice. So I have no idea how just the post just slid off. So I was like, all right, that's a sign of, you know, not risking my health just for a look. So I ended up gluing this on anyway, and it just looks so bomb. And I think I'll wear it more as a choker than earrings anyway. Yeah, so that's pretty much it for this video. There'll be a lot more Doja Cat looks to come. I have a few lined up already. And so stay tuned for that. Recommend any Doja Cat looks down below, because I will be shouting out people in my next video when I actually do the look that they recommend. I will shout them out in my video when I do them. Also follow me on Instagram, Tumblr, not even Tumblr, I don't use Tumblr, Twitter, TikTok, all that good stuff. And I think that's pretty much it. As always, please love yourself, and I will see you next video. Mwah!